Hello and welcome to another edition of Power of the Pen. I am LaWanna Bradford and I'm excited today to bring a special Power of the Pen episode featuring Mary Ellen Ciganovich. We lost Mary Ellen last year, but what she leaves behind is amazing written works, podcasts, words of inspiration, encouragement, and words that are intended to inspire, to help us to navigate when life changes hit our path. She has 3 books that I absolutely love and that we featured on the show. Truth, Taking Responsibility Unleashes True Healing. Truth Lives, and Healing Words, Life Lessons to Inspire. Now, this conversation that we're having as a featured author isn't about these books, but there's principles of these books that we tease out as we talk about becoming aware and changing your thoughts. It's for a time such as now when there's a lot of uncertainty, unknown, rapid change, and how we show up in the face of change, how we respond. And Mary Ellen believed that our response begins here, begins in our mind, and that we can take hold those negative, doubtful, fearful thoughts, cast them aside, and latch on to something that's positive, uplifting, to continue to give us hope, even in the face of change. I hope you enjoy this episode with my special guest and very dear friend, Mary Ellen Ciganovich. Well, welcome, everyone. I am LaWanna Bradford, and today I am so excited because I have a very special co-host, and it is Mary Ellen Ciganovich.
Ciganovich, perfect. Oh my gosh, that was great. Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you for being here, and I just want to tell our listening audience a little bit about you. So, Mary Ellen is an inspirational speaker, author, writer, executive producer of The Truth of the Day Show, educator and consultant at Real Health LLC. She is an amazing member in our community. She is also the Woman of the Month for March, so we're excited about that.
Ooh.
And she's here today to talk to us about becoming aware and changing your thoughts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So tell us, why, and we know we hear thoughts become things, and you should be aware of your thoughts. Yeah. And tell us a little bit about why this message is so important to you and how it can actually determine the course, if you will, or the outcomes that we experience in our life.
Well, until you're aware of something, you can't change it. If you don't know you're doing something incorrectly, then you're going to keep doing it that way because that's the way you've been taught and that's the way you've learned all your life. And our thoughts, we're not taught as youngsters, at least I wasn't, to think positively. We are now, but that you choose your thoughts. I have so many clients come to me, or so many people call me and they'll say, well, I can't get rid of these thoughts. I have to worry about my kids. I have to worry. I have to be anxious. And I'm like, no, you don't. You can be concerned And if you've done something right, if you've always done something right and you've raised your children right and you've become a good spouse and a partner, then what is there to worry about? And if you ever think of anything you ever worried about, did it ever fix it? Did it make it better? Did it make it go away? No. But it might have given you a headache, or it might have put you into turmoil. So I teach people to get out of worry and to look at their thoughts that they have during the day. You have tons of different thoughts. You have thoughts coming from your conscious mind. You have thoughts coming from your subconscious mind. And we're bombarded by all these little thoughts. And people think thoughts are these little fluffy white things that like float around in the air. And they're not. They're actual units of energy that can be measured. And I mean, that's why polygraph tests work or don't work, because they are measuring the thought energy that is produced by that person's body. And I know as a society, to change, to become better, we need to all think differently. Think that we're all one. We're all connected. We're all connected to the divine, to God, to whatever is your higher power. You know, I don't want to, I mean, I'm Christian, but, you know, that's okay. There are other religions out there too, and that's fine. You know, and to judge somebody else or to criticize somebody else, you're actually criticizing yourself. And when we learn all of these things, then we can choose the thoughts that bless us. And I think I'm going too long.
No,
I'm talking
that's a good point. I like the way you packaged it. You said choose the thoughts that bless us. And you're right. When we think of things that, you know, and I'm just coming from a biblical reference, things that are just, that are pure, that are noble, that are of good report, that makes you feel good, right? It's not, it's freeing, liberating. But then when you think of those dark things, those things you might be worried about, stressed about, you feel it in your body.
Yeah. It's like when you think a loving thought, about a rainbow, about a beach, whatever would be a loving picture for you, it should make you feel calm. It should make you feel happy. It should make you feel joyous. And then on the other hand, any kind of fear-based thought brings up that anxiety. It brings up that turmoil. Your stomach starts getting upset. Your chest might tighten. Your heart starts to beat because you're having your thoughts are creating these bodily functions. And, you know, every single thought we have is a statement to God about what we desire to have in our life. So what you focus on expands, what you think about happens. So think about your thoughts today become your actions tomorrow, which becomes your life in the future. So I like to start with awareness and thoughts because for me, I think that's like step one of waking up.
So, you know, because you also mentioned when we first started this conversation, you said the conscious and the subconscious thoughts. So obviously, if it's conscious, I'm definitely aware of it. But those deep buried thoughts that literally have shaped us since the age of 5, how do we even uncover that? How do we?
Well, your subconscious mind is much more powerful than your conscious mind. Your conscious mind can program, I think it's like 4,000 thoughts a minute or something like that. Your subconscious mind can process 4 billion thoughts per second. And it's like this tape going in your head that you learned when you were little. Like for me, when I was little, I was growing up, I was diagnosed with epilepsy, and I was always taught not to tell anybody. At least I didn't look like it. You know, you're not good enough. You're never going to be able to marry or have kids. So I had that tape running in my head. And even until I became aware of, hey, they told me that to keep me safe when I was a kid. I understand now the historical reason why I was told that. Okay, and that's okay. And until I became aware of that, I had that tape in there. And I had to visualize taking the scissors and cutting that tape. I wanted to cut that tape out. And I teach a lot of my clients, a lot of people that I work with, to visualize like throwing anxiety in the trash can. I was working with a client today, and I said, well, take that anxiety when it comes up, and I want you to take a deep breath in, inhale and exhale. And then I want you to take that anxiety, and I want you to see it running across the room, jumping in the trash can. It's all gone. I said, I don't care if you have to do that 1,000,000 times a day, but you do that until you reprogram. Your mind is just like a computer, just like a program. And we have to reprogram our mind. We have to reprogram our society. We have to reprogram our young people who are growing up to think and become the successful people that they can become.
To our listening audience and those that will be joining later, we are here with Mary Ellen Ciganovich, and we are talking about becoming aware and changing your thoughts. And Mary Ellen, so many people, you hear them say, well, this is just the way I am, I can't help the way I think.
Yeah. I deal with that with many of my, probably all of my clients. They say, well, I just can't help it. Or they'll ask me, well, when am I going to get better? And I'm like, well, when do you want to get better? You can click your fingers and get better, and they're looking for me for an answer. And I'm like, look, number one, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical person. I'm more of a spiritual and a guidance type person. So what I'm trying to teach them is that they can create their life exactly the way they want it. And if they're creating what they don't want, then what are they getting out of that? Okay. You might be getting negative attention, but it's better than no attention at all. So why do you keep doing it? And they say, well, I don't know. I can't stop it. You can. Why don't you want to? And usually what happens is God sends something like a difficult situation to where they have to snap out of it. And then everything, gets better. God always wakes us up. I mean, he's woken me up so many times, it's ridiculous.
Yes, he does.
Because like even, I think it was Tuesday night. Yeah. My MS, I have multiple sclerosis, and it doesn't flare up that often. But Tuesday night, I had a bad attack. And it was bad, and I don't have them very often. So I had to keep thinking to myself, okay, let's work through it. What thoughts are going through my head? I was doing exactly what I teach my clients to do, because I have to live the truth that I write about. I have to live by what I attempt to teach people. Otherwise it wouldn't work for me. It wouldn't be what God wanted me to do.
Right. I mean, in my situation, and our community knows because I'm very open with it. So I was diagnosed 5 years ago with lymphoma. And if I focus my thoughts on what the medical profession said, I would be doom and gloom, because the only words I heard them say was mortality, no cure.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And so interesting, because I think it was 2 nights later after the diagnosis, I was flipping through the channels. I couldn't sleep again in that negative thinking and just fear.
Oh yeah.
And I found, and I've never seen this program again, this minister again, but the moment I clicked, he said, there's someone out there that was recently diagnosed with cancer. And he said, I just want you to know, no matter what you heard, always remember man's medicine hasn't caught up with God's miracle.
That's true. Yeah.
That was sometimes you need things that just change you in an instant. Yeah. And just like you said earlier, you can choose. And at that moment, I chose to I'm living. I'm not, that's not the report I want to believe.
Yeah.
I haven't looked back.
Yeah. That's what I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 1986. And in 1986, it was all doom and gloom. And oh my gosh, you're going to be this and that. And I was a single parent raising about an 8-year-old daughter at the time. And I was teaching middle school. And I was like, well, and I was about like I am right now, except for when I would play racquetball, I would lose my eyesight. And when I would get hot, I had all these weird little symptoms. And I said, well, okay, I'm going to keep working out or whatever. And I basically told the MS Society, sent me all this negative literature. And I said, I was so mad at them. I just trashed it. And what I did was I was buying out of that picture, and it's not that my human form has MS to deal with every once in a while. That's true. But when I die and go to heaven, am I going to have MS? No. That means that in my soul, in my true essence, I don't have MS now. And so when I can connect with that, when I can stay balanced, when I can stay on schedule, I can control my MS monster, is what I call it. So I was making him go back in the cave on Tuesday. Okay, go back in that cave.
And when you control, whether it's your MS monster or any fear-based thought, you live a more fulfilling and enriched life.
Yeah.
Right.
I have so many people, like I'll be speaking to a group or something, and I'll mention that, I was diagnosed with epilepsy at 6, and then I'll go on with a story or whatever, and I'll go, I was diagnosed with MS in 1986, and they'll just look at me like, no, you weren't, and I'm like, I mean, I think I'd have to be psychologically really ill to say that I didn't have these things, whatever, but because I wouldn't wish MS on anybody. It's been interesting. If I can't say anything nice, I always like to say interesting. But, that's why thoughts are so important, and your awareness of yourself and your awareness of what is it essential to you? What kind of affirmation can you put out there every day to make, like, my life is abundant in every way. And, I am successful in life. If you just repeat these affirmations, you're going to reprogram your conscious mind, and you're going to reprogram that tape playing in your subconscious mind.
So in the affirmations, can you talk a little bit about how important it is it's one thing to find those aspirations that resonate with you and then to recite them. And it's another thing to have that heart emotion connection with what you're saying. Can you explain?
Oh, sure. With an affirmation, everything, you want to be very careful for what you ask for. And I'll go back to like New Year's Eve. A lot of people say, I don't want to gain any weight. Okay. That might be something everybody says. Okay. Well, what they're doing by saying don't is they're asking for 5 more or 10 more pounds. You want to say, I am my perfect weight. And you visualize on that. You put that everywhere in your house. You cut out pictures of that, and you become that weight. When you say a negative, like if I say, I don't believe anything's possible. Well, you might as well just go sit in a chair and get old and die, But if you can say, I'm serious. You can tell I laugh a lot about stuff. But if you can say, I believe all things are possible. I believe that. And, I've woken up before with my MS and fallen to the ground and not had legs for 3 months. I could walk, but I walked really kind of funny. And I've woken up before and opened my eyes, and my eyes were all messed up for 4 months. And I've worked through them, and thankfully they haven't come back. And, I was a period of time in my life when I was afraid to go to sleep because I was afraid of what would happen overnight. And then you can't stay up all the time. So I thought, okay. So a lot of these things that I now teach people are things that I've also lived through and done and created for my healing. And I thought, well, if it works for me, then it might work for somebody else. And if it does, if I can reach one person, that's great. Affirmations like, I am grateful for everything in my life. I am attracting divine joy into my life and happiness. I'm excited to be alive. If you just wake up and thank God for being alive and just oh my gosh, it's another day. And so what if it's raining? That's really good for the plants. You know, so many people, if it's not sunny, they're like, oh my gosh, it's raining out. Oh gosh, it just rained, folks.
They may melt. We don't know, Mary Ellen.
F. Scott Fitzgerald stated, "Don't write because you want to say something. Write because you have something to say." There are thousands of people waiting to read your book and hear your message. Be a guest on the Power of the Pen TV series. To complete your application and schedule your interview, call 404-618-2824 today. The world is waiting for you.
You know, the affirmations are very powerful, and it's very important, like I said, how you say them, your thoughts. You don't want to say, well, I might be able to do this. No, you, like Nike says, just do it. You can do anything. You know, you don't want to say, well, I tried. No, don't want you to try. I want you to do it, you know, because every single cell in your body is affected by your thoughts. Every single one of them.
Right there, that's a powerful, powerful statement. And we think about just everything that we deal with naturally, you know, the environmental toxins and everything else. But we can actually be creating a toxin environment by the lack of control of our thoughts.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. Definitely. You can create a toxic environment around yourself. I'll be around many people I'll walk up to, and I can just feel their negative energy. It's amazing because I can just feel that they're, and you'll see them out and about, and they're complaining about this and complaining about that. And I don't understand it because, and then they wonder why their body's like they are. And I'm like, well, you know, I'd tell you, but we don't have enough time. You know, but even with myself, like, you know, MS has to do with the myelin coming off of the nerve of the brain, which is a long story. So I'll visualize the myelin regenerating back on. And like with anybody that's fighting with cancer or anything like that, I tell them to detoxify their system. Drink warm water with lemon in it every day. It's a great detoxifier for your system. You want to laugh a lot. You want to watch funny movies. You want to think all those joyous thoughts. Louise Hay was diagnosed with several forms of cancer and started the first awareness center out in California. And through her 3 forms of cancer, she lived, I guess, 20 years after that. And she has the Hay Center right now in California. But she died a few years ago, finally. But she changed her diet, and diet is so important for everybody. Right. Your thoughts are so important. Everything you do, you have to become aware of yourself. You have to become aware. Do you look up? Do you breathe in and breathe out? Do you exercise? Do you take time to stretch? Do you take time for you, just for you, you know, not to take care of everybody? It's important.
You know, we're talking about Louise Hay. It made me think about my great aunt. She was actually born in 1900, so if she were still alive today, she'd be 121.
Yeah.
But the one thing that she told me, because she had battled multiple forms of cancer, and she lived to 97. She still lived on her own, very, very healthy. And I remember talking to her, and I said, if you were to give me one piece of advice, you know, what, because I love how you've lived your life, what would it be? She said, and you always use, you know, archaic words, but she said, always choose to be jolly.
Oh, yeah.
She said every day, she goes, no matter how I feel, I choose to be jolly. And she said, don't lay in bed because the bed will kill you. You have to get up no matter how you feel.
Yeah.
And just choose to be jolly.
Yep. Yeah, I'm working with a client right now, and I text her in the morning. And I say, time to get out of bed. Get out of that bed, you know, because you have to make yourself do things. Like there are many times when one of the things I battle with MS is fatigue. So I have to pace myself on a day like today when I'm going to be on at 8 o'clock to fight that fatigue. So I'll go downstairs and work out, and exercise is such a tremendous way to get more energy. So move your body, change your thoughts, become aware of yourself. And I'll tell everybody the best way to become aware of yourself is what you see in others. And I do that with it 1 finger out, 3 fingers back. Okay. The good you see in others is the good you have inside yourself. And conversely, the things about other people that hook you or really like drive you crazy, and the next day you're saying, I can't believe they did that, or I can't, then take a step back and say, what do I need to learn from this? Because that's God's way of showing you yourself.
I love that. I want to give you some time to talk about your 2 books. You have Truth, Taking Responsibility, Releases True Healing.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about that a lot. I see it behind you.
Yeah, I've got that one here. Yeah, I got a peacock on the cover. You know why?
Why?
You know how peacocks get their feathers? They eat thorns. And the harder the thorn is to digest in the digestive tract, the more beautiful the color in the tail. And I relate that to people going through our hardships and our experiences. When we eat those thorns and we learn from them and we become the beautiful, successful people that God means for us to be here on this planet.
Wow.
So that's why
I have to Google thorn-eating peacocks.
If you Google peacock, just Google how peacocks get their color in their tail, you'll find it. Yeah. But yeah, this is a book of 366 daily meditations or inspirations. And they're 366 because my father-in-law was born on leap year. So I had one for him. And my other book, Healing Words, Life Lessons to Inspire, is just a short book of a lot of little vignettes to wake people up to their truth, to wake people up to what they need to learn. So they kind of go hand in hand. They're both, I think they're both good because I didn't write them. Actually, God did. I mean, I really didn't write them. And God bugged me with these until he bugged me. He's still bugging me, writing my truths of the day. I'm like, okay, I'm still writing it. Because the other day, I was having a hard day. On that day when I found out, that I was Woman of the Month for
Yes.
your beautiful group, I was thinking about, I got to quit. This just isn't working. I'm just not doing anywhere. And all of a sudden, there you guys are. And I'm like, okay, God, I got it.
Yeah, he has an interesting way of coming and waking us up and just validating this.
Yeah,
you're on the right path.
Definitely.
Yes. Well, I hate that we're already out of time. I know I enjoy when you're on, and it's amazing because just lately some of the things that I've been going through, every time it's just spot on. In fact, you did one. Let me see. So I took a picture of it and I sent it to the person that why we were having this conversation. Find it real quick. It was on, inflexibility works against you.
Right.
And we had just had this conversation, and it was like, this is just the way I am, and da 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 da. And I said, you need to pause and just kind of understand the other. Like,
Yeah.
No. So I'm like, and I was praying. I said, Lord, how do I get this through to him? And then the next morning, here this was, and all I did, I just said, hey, this was posted on my page. What do you think?
That's good. I'm glad. That's awesome.
So,
Very good.
Why don't you tell us what else do you have going on?
I got a lot. I got my Miracles with Mary Ellen show, which is I go live on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, everything on Mondays. I have Mary Ellen's Miracle Moment on Wednesdays, and my Miracle Minute was on Fridays, and then I'm with Cyrus Webb on Fridays on Instagram. I do, of course, the Truth of the Day, the post for Conversations Live Radio News Network, which has just been picked up. My Truth of the Days were just syndicated into iHeartRadio. So that's been a blessing. Thank you. I know.
That's fantastic.
I'm very, very grateful for Celebrate You and Wellness Women and just LaWanna Bradford. Thank you. And please tell Barbara thank you also, and all of your women. Just fantastic group of ladies.
Well, thank you so much for being with us. Ladies, you've heard it here with Mary Ellen Ciganovich, becoming aware, changing your thoughts. And if you want to level up your life, if you want to be filled with positive energy, shift those thoughts, you want to get with individuals that understand what that journey is. And sometimes we need guides in our lives. And that's what Mary Ellen is serving as, is that guide, that resource to help you live your best life with healthy, happy thoughts, right?
That's right. Exactly. You got it.
So everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Mary Ellen, thank you. And as we always say, ladies, love yourself, embrace yourself.
Ooh, I love that. Love that.
Thank you. See you soon. Thank you again. Bye-bye. Bye.